Hi, third graders. It's Mrs. Prattle. So, this is my first time ever teaching a lesson like this and recording it. And I bet this is probably one of your first times ever listening to a lesson like this. So, we're going to both do the best we can and get through this. Here's the deal. So, third graders, Mrs. Alvarado and Mr. G and I are going to work together to teach you as much as we can while you guys are home. Today I'm going to start with our first lesson of Unit 3 in our Reader's Workshop lessons on character studies. I believe before we took our break, you had your teacher reading to you from this awesome book. So if you were in my class, you heard the first 2 chapters. Now, if you didn't hear those 2 chapters, what I want you to do is I want you to listen to Miss Alvarado reading the 2 chapters to you before we do this lesson, okay? Because you're going to need it in order to be able to understand what I'm talking about. So, first 2 lessons of Because of Winn-Dixie, make sure that you have listened to them and you're ready to learn about them. And so when you are, you can come back and do this. All right, so here we go. All right. So, boys and girls, did you guys know that when a teacher starts the school year, beginning of the year, we're always a little nervous because we want to make sure that we're ready for you. And then we also are wondering, what kind of kids are we going to get? Are they going to get along with each other? Are they going to be good listeners? Are they going to have fun in our classes? So we're always wondering, what kind of a class am I going to have this year? And luckily, it always turns out okay. So we're always nervous for nothing, right? And so what we did, though, is your teacher got to know you and you got to know us, right? And so those first couple weeks of school was all about kind of just getting to know each other. Who were we? What do we like to do? What do we do in our free time? What are we really good at? What's something that maybe it's kind of struggle with? And so that's a part of, starting a new school year. Well, guess what? With books, it's kind of the same thing. When we read a book, we are getting to know the characters just like they're our new friends. So today, what I want us to focus on is that when readers read a new book, they really dig deep and try to figure out who are these characters and what do I know about them? What kind of people are they? What do they do and what do they say? So that's what we're going to work on in practice today. Okay? So we have an awesome character that we're going to focus on today in Because of Winn-Dixie, and that character is Opal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a little bit from that first couple chapters, and I want you to think about, okay, what does this part tell us about Opal? What are we learning about her? Okay? So here is the first part that I want you to pay close attention to. This is one of my favorite parts. "Please," said the manager, "somebody call the pound." "Wait a minute," I hollered. "That's my dog. Don't call the pound." All the Winn-Dixie employees turned around and looked at me, and I knew I had done something big and maybe something stupid too, but I couldn't help it. I couldn't let that dog go to the pound. "Here, boy," I said. Do you remember this part? So let's think about this. So here Opal doesn't know this dog. And she claims all of a sudden that it is her dog. And I remember too, the manager at the store, he seemed kind of scary. He was yelling a lot. And he's a grown-up. And we know Opal's a little girl, right? So here she is. She goes into this grocery store. And did you notice that it said, she didn't just say, "That's my dog." She hollered it. She said, "Wait a minute," I hollered. So hollered is like yelling. So here she is. She's yelling to the manager, "Wait a second, hold on. That's my dog." What does that tell us about Opal? let me think here. Well, it kind of tells me she's kind of brave. I mean, I know when I was a little girl, I don't think I would have done that. I would have been kind of afraid of that manager. So I can kind of tell that she's pretty brave. And I can also kind of tell that she's a little impulsive. Do you know that word, third graders? Impulsive? Kind of means that you don't really think things through all the way before you do them. Some of you might be like that. I know I'm sometimes like that too. So she kind of didn't think it through, did she? She just sort of like yelled out, like, hey, that's my dog. She didn't really think about what was going to happen in the future. Okay, so now I know that Opal is pretty brave because she stands up to people, to grown-ups too. And she's kind of impulsive. She doesn't think things through all the way. Okay, and I wonder if this also tells me that she seems like she cares about animals. I mean, she didn't seem to want anything bad to happen to this dog. So maybe she's an animal lover too? Okay. So let me think. All right, so those are things I should be jotting down, right? Because as readers, we always jot down these important things that we learn about characters. So we'll do that in a second. All right, so I want to read another part to you. And this is the part where Opal has decided she's going to try to bring the dog home. And she's going to try to convince her dad, the preacher, to keep this dog, okay? And so as she's walking home, I love it. She's talking to the dog. Do you guys ever talk to your dogs or cats? I talk to my dogs all the time. Okay, so here, let me read you this part, okay? Anyway, while me and Winn-Dixie walked home, I told him how I got my name, and I told him how I had just moved to Naomi. I also told him about the preacher and how he was a good man, even if he was too distracted with sermons and prayers and suffering people to go grocery shopping. But you know what? I told Winn-Dixie, you are a suffering dog, so maybe he will take to you right away. Maybe he'll let me keep you. Winn-Dixie looked up at me and wagged his tail. He was kind of limping, like something was wrong with one of his legs. And I have to admit, he stunk. Bad. He was an ugly dog, but already I loved him with all my heart. Wow. All right, so I'm going to stop and I'm going to think about, okay, what more do I know about Opal based on that part of the story? So think about it. So she's walking home. She's telling the dog about what's going on in her life, right? And it seems like she's really hoping that the preacher or her dad will really let her keep that dog, right? And I noticed too that she talks about how Winn-Dixie was kind of yucky looking. I mean, he's limping, he stinks really bad, he's kind of ugly. So that kind of makes me think that what I was thinking earlier about how Opal is an animal lover, I think that's more evidence to prove that because, you know, it takes a real animal lover to love an animal that's kind of gross and stinky and not very cute, right? So I think that tells me more about how she really is an animal lover. And the other part that really stood out to me is this part where it says, he was an ugly dog, but already I loved him with all my heart. Think about, what does that tell you about Opal? You know what it tells me? It tells me that she loves fiercely. Like, she loves things, loves people, loves animals. And it makes me kind of wonder. I wonder if she is going to be that way with the other people in her life. Like, I wonder if she loves her dad with all her heart, or the other people in her family with all her heart. And it kind of seems like she's willing to do anything for them. So that'll be something interesting to kind of follow as we read this book. Okay. So, I don't know about you, but I'm really excited about reading this book because of Winn-Dixie. So here's what we need to do, okay? So I know we're home, and hopefully you guys have been reading. I know that myself and Miss Alvarado and Mr. G tried to send you home with some chapter books before you left, right? Hopefully you've been reading those. If not, now's the time to start, right? The other thing that you guys can do is if you've got a good chapter book at home that you want to read, grab it. Or the other thing that we have is we have Epic online. So you can look for a chapter book through Epic, okay? There's also the Sora website, which is on your, if you log into Clever, you can see that. And if you need help logging into that, you can contact your teacher. That's kind of like an online library. So that's the kind of thing where if you find a book that you're interested in, you have to check it out. Just like a library, only it's going to be on your computer, okay? So as we're reading, we have to do a couple of things, right? Same as when we do it in our classroom. We have to stop and jot. And what I want you to focus on is I want you to focus on the character, probably the main character in your book. Now, you can do it for other characters too, but let's really focus in on our main character of our book, okay? Other thing to remember is this is going to be fiction reading, okay? Last unit we worked on nonfiction, and so this one we're really working on fiction, okay? So we're trying to find a chapter book that we can read that's a made-up story, okay? Where we can really focus in on the character. And what you're going to want to do, is this going to work? Hey, there we go. We are going to get to know the character, and we want to focus in on how the character talks and acts. So what are the things they're saying, and what are the things they're doing, and what does that tell us about them as a character? Okay, so it's kind of like getting to know a new friend. What can we do to get to know that new friend and get to know them as well as we can? Okay, so sorry, I'm laughing because my dog just started eating in the background and it's really noisy. So if you can hear something, that's what that is. Anyways, so as you're reading your chapter book, okay, and I want you to try to read for at least 30 minutes every day, okay? I want you to try to stop and jot about your character. Now, there's a couple ways you can do that, okay? I know in our classrooms we usually have like a zillion Post-it notes, right? And you may not have that at home. That's okay. You don't have to use Post-it notes unless you have them and you want to use them if your parents are okay with that. If you want to just get a piece of paper, or if you have a notebook at home, that would be a really great place for you to stop and jot. The other option that you have is you could create a doc in Google Classroom. So go to Google Classroom, create a doc, and then you can type out all of the interesting things that you start learning about your character, okay? All right, third graders, did we all survive our first Reader's Workshop lesson online on the computer? This is so crazy. All right, well, I hope you guys are having a good day. I hope you're hanging in there. I know it's hard being stuck in our houses, but we're going to do the best we can. So go out, go do your reading, get a comfy place to sit and relax and enjoy that book and do some jots. And we'll come back again next time. Bye, guys.